Hey guys, welcome back. We are doing lesson 7 for Wit and Wisdom. So let's talk a few minutes before we get started with our video. So our essential question for this lesson is, what can we discover about animals' unique features? And remember, we've been talking about unique features these past few lessons, and we know that a feature can be ears, can be fingers, can be a nose, can be your eyes, can be your hair, all right? And on some it can be a tail. So those are features. Our focus question today is, what lessons can we learn through stories about animals? What can we learn about stories from animals? And our content framing question is, what does a deeper exploration of the character's actions reveal in Seven Blind Mice? So a deeper exploration means we're going to dig deep into that story and we're going to talk about the characters in there and what they're doing and what they're not doing. All right? So in this lesson, we hope to build on our speaking and listening. We are going to conduct a deeper exploration of the events and characters' actions in Seven Blind Mice by pretending to be the mice and as they assemble the parts of the elephant. So before we get started, let's look behind me back here on our speaking and listening goal chart. So this is our speaking and listening chart. Notice we've got our speaking part here. It says, respond to what others say and speak in complete sentences. That is our goals when we speak. Our listening goals is we use our whole body when listening. So like if you're talking to somebody, you want them to be able to look you in the eye, right? So your whole body should be facing that direction that they're talking. But if you're sitting there twirling around while they're talking, are you really listening? No, you're not. Notices pauses. Notice when somebody takes a break. Maybe they're waiting for you to respond when they pause. You need to be aware of what's going on with speaking and listening. So when people speak, write in complete sentences, they express complete thoughts. Complete means having all the pieces needed. For example, if you wanted a sandwich but had jelly and no bread, you couldn't make a complete sandwich, could you? No, and it wouldn't be good just eating jelly. No. In the same way, in order for a sentence to be complete, it must contain certain things. Like complete sentences contain a subject that tells who or what the sentence is about. It has a verb that describes an action. And it also has a period, a question mark, or an exciting mark at the end. So it's a complete thought. So speaking in full sentences allows others to understand and have a conversation with you, okay? So let's think a minute. I'm going to tell you a couple sentences, and I want you to tell me, is it a complete sentence or it's not a complete sentence, all right? So the first sentence, grasshoppers have strong legs. Well, it has a subject, the grasshoppers, and it tells what they have, right? They have strong legs. So is that a complete sentence? Yeah, it is a complete sentence. What about grasshoppers strong? Well, you've got a subject, but it doesn't really tell us anything else. It just says grasshoppers strong. We don't know what's strong, do we? So it's not a complete sentence. What about fables are stories that? Is that a complete sentence? No, because the sentence isn't finished, is it? What about fables? We don't know anything about the fables, do we? No, so it's not complete. What about this sentence? Fables are stories with lessons or morals. It's got a subject, it's got a verb, and tells what it's all about, doesn't it? Sure does. So it is a complete sentence. It's a complete thought. Great. And our last sentence, the big elephant. We've got a subject, but we don't know what the big elephant did, do we? No. So that's not a complete sentence. It's just a big elephant. Okay. All right. So no, it's not a complete sentence. So I want you to think about this. Why is speaking in complete sentences important? Well, you'll make sense if you talk in complete sentences, correct? Yes. Will people understand you when you talk in complete sentences? Yes. And can you carry on a conversation with somebody else with a complete sentence? Yes, you can. Good job, guys. That is why it's important to speak in complete sentences. So we have been reading stories about animals that teach us what? A lesson, a lesson. So today we're going to look more closely at the character's actions to learn more about the story and its lesson. Okay, and so we're going to spend some time closely analyzing the story. So I am going to share my screen with you so we can watch our video here. There we go.
Hello, first grade friends, and welcome back to Wit and Wisdom Fantasy. My name is Tanisha Spears, and I'm excited to jump into our lesson. But before we do, let's make sure you have your materials ready. For this lesson, you will need your copy of 7 Blind Mice if you have one. You'll need handout 7A and handout 7B. You'll also need your Wit and Wisdom and Safe journal and a pencil. Pause the video now if you need to gather the materials.
Okay, now you only have the elephant parts. I did not give you the elephant, okay? And there's a reason why, and I'll explain it later in this lesson.
In previous work, we determined what was happening in 7 Blind Mice, and you had the opportunity to retell the story. Today, we will continue building our knowledge with the same text, and our work will focus on this question. What does looking at the character's actions reveal to us? I'll say it one more time. What does looking at the character's actions reveal to us? Okay, I have a few questions I want you to think about. In the text, 7 Blind Mice, do you remember how the colorful mice each explored the elephant? Do you remember that at first they didn't even realize that it was an elephant? I also wonder, do you remember what types of objects they thought it was? Turn and tell your learning partner the types of objects the mice thought the strange something was.
Okay, do you remember what they thought the elephant was? Oh yeah, there was a pillar. One thought it was a pillar. Another thought it was a snake. Another thought it was a spear, right? Somebody thought it was a fan or even a cliff. Let's see if we're correct.
Okay, now let's review each of the objects. If you have 7A, you can get it now. And if you don't have the handout, that's okay. As I name the objects, you can point to your handout or you can gently point to the screen. Are you ready? Here are the objects: pillar, snake, spear, cliff, fan, and rope. I want you to think. Do you remember how each of the mice only explored one part and didn't realize they were exploring an elephant until the end of the story? Well, we are going to pretend that we are those colorful mice from the fable, and we'll think about the mice's actions and match these objects with a part of the elephant. Okay, now you're going to need handout 7A and 7B. I'd like you to pause the video now to get if you don't already have them. If you don't have the handouts, that's okay. You can just point to the items on the screen. If you do have the handout, what I'd like you to do is take a minute, pause the video, and cut out each of the objects from handout 7A. Okay, now let's match.
Okay, you're not going to cut out those objects, okay? So don't cut them out. You're just going to use a pencil to write on it. So no cutting, okay?
The objects with the elephant's body part. Okay, remember the red mouse went first and he thought it was a pillar. Which body part did he think was a pillar? Point to that body part or lay your color card on top of that body part. Did you point to the leg? Sure you did, because the red mouse thought the leg was a pillar.
Okay, so on your paper, where they're going to put that picture on the elephant, you're going to just write leg next to pillar or underneath pillar, okay? So you're just going to write leg under the pillar. So you're going to write the body parts under the picture.
Now, let's think about the green mouse. The green mouse thought the strange something was a snake. Which body part did he think was a snake? Point to that body part. I'm sure you got that. He thought the trunk was a snake. Now, what part was the spear? What was the spear? Yes, the yellow mouse thought the tusk was a spear. The cliff. Which part was the cliff? Oh, I know you got that one too. The purple mouse thought the top of the elephant's head was a cliff. Think about the fan. Which part was the fan? Tell your learning partner.
Ooh, I think the was the ear. What do you think?
Yes, the orange mouse thought the ear was a fan. Now think, what part was the rope? I bet you got that one too. The blue mouse thought the tail was a rope. Now I want you to think, why would the mice mistake the different body parts for those objects? I'll ask the question one more time. Why would the mice mistake the different body parts for those objects? Tell your learning partner.
So why do you think they all thought those parts were like that? I'm thinking it could be because they only looked at one spot, didn't they? Like one mouse only looked at the leg and they thought it was a pillar. And somebody looked at the trunk and thought it was a snake. Somebody looked at the tusk and thought it was a spear. A head was a cliff, and a fan was the ear, and a tail was a rope. They didn't look at anything else. They only looked at that one part. So they didn't look at the whole elephant, did they? Let's see what she says.
Now think, why couldn't the mice figure out what the objects really were? Why couldn't they figure out what the objects really were? Shall we give a Here's what I think. The red, green, yellow, purple, orange, and blue mice couldn't figure out what the strange something was because they were only looking at a part of it. Okay, we just reviewed the colorful mice actions. Now we're going to review the white mouse's actions. Okay, friends, you're going to continue using handout 7B. And don't worry if you don't have it, you can just use the image on the screen. What you are going to do is you are going to pretend that you are the white mouse, and you are going to run your fingers around the outline of the whole elephant. I'll say that one more time. You are going to pretend that you are the white mouse, and you are going to run your fingers around the outline of the whole elephant. Now, if you are using the elephant image on the screen, you are going to trace with your fingers gently. Are you ready? Pause the video to trace the outline of the whole elephant.
Okay, I want you to use your fingers and just don't touch the screen because it'll make your screen move, but just trace the elephant with your fingers, okay? All right.
Okay, now what you are going to do is you are going to get the opportunity to show what you've learned about this fable. You are going to do that by recording aloud or writing your response to this question in your journal. What do the actions of the white mouse reveal? In other words, what did the white mouse discover or find out? I'll say it one more time. You are going to either record aloud or write your response to this question in your journal. What do the actions of the white mouse reveal, or what did the white mouse discover or find out? Pause the video now to record aloud or write in your journal.
Okay, so let's think about that. What do the actions of the white mouse reveal? Well, the white mouse figured out that it was an elephant, right? Because he ran all over the elephant to figure out what it was, correct? Yes, he didn't just use one part. He used the whole elephant to find out what it was. So, in your journal, you can write what do the actions of the white mouse reveal? Well, his actions revealed that it was a whole elephant, right? Because he looked at the whole part. He looked at the whole elephant.
Here's what I think. The white mouse actions revealed what the strange something actually was. And it was only when the colorful mice considered all the parts together that they could understand that it was an elephant. The white mouse was able to put all the clues together to figure out what the complete object was, which was an elephant. And next, we are going to talk about complete sentences. But before we do, pause the video to take a moment to stretch or take a quick break. When you are done, unpause the video.
All right, stand up and stretch real quick. Oh, oh, I needed that. I think I've sat too long. Okay, let's go on.
We just talked about how the white mouse was able to put all the clues together to figure out what the complete object was, and the complete object was an elephant. Now, let's think about complete sentences and why speaking in complete sentences is important. As we work through Module 2 together, speaking in complete sentences is going to be one of your speaking for this module. And when people speak or write in complete sentences, they are expressing complete thoughts. So when you speak in a complete sentence, others can more easily understand what you are saying. In order to think about speaking in complete sentences, we must first understand what I mean when I say complete. Complete means having all the pieces needed. For example, if you wanted a sandwich but had jelly and no bread, you couldn't make a complete sandwich. So in order for a sentence to be complete, it must contain certain things. It must have a subject, which tells who or what the sentence is about, and it must state a verb, and a verb is something that states action. When you speak in complete sentences, it allows others to have a conversation with you. So we're going to practice with some examples. Are you ready? I'm going to give you an example of a complete sentence and an incomplete sentence about a grasshopper. Okay, here's one. Grasshoppers. Does that sound like it's missing something? Think about it. Grasshoppers. Does it sound like it's missing something? Tell your learning partners.
Grasshoppers. And we don't know what the grasshoppers are doing, do we? So is it a complete sentence? No. Let's see what she says.
I'm sure you said it is. It is missing the action. So let me try again. Grasshoppers jump around. Now that's a complete sentence because the sentence is about grasshoppers and the action is jumping, and they're jumping around. Let's try a few more. Eat grass. Eat grass.
No.
What's missing? Tell your learning partner.
What's missing from that? What eats grass? We don't know, do we? So the subject is missing. Let's see if we're correct.
I'm sure you said it. The subject is missing. We don't know who or what is eating grass. So here's the complete sentence. Grasshoppers eat grass. Okay, let's try one more. Hide grass. Again, that is missing the subject. In this case, the subject is grasshoppers. So the complete sentence is grasshoppers hide in the grass. Okay, now I'm going to give you an example of a complete and an incomplete sentence about a mouse. Here's one. Rain. Think. Does it have an action? Tell your learning partner. Does it have an action? I'm sure you.
Does it have an action? Ran. Action word, but we don't know who ran, do we?
You said it. Yes, ran, but it's missing the subject because we don't know who ran or who is running. Let's try another one. The mouse ran. Is that a complete sentence? Tell your learning partner.
Is that a complete sentence? The mouse ran? Yes. Let's see if we're correct.
I'm sure you said yes, because that has a subject, which is the mouse, and a verb or an action, which is ran. So the mouse ran is a complete sentence because it has a subject and an action or verb. Now that we've had a chance to practice some complete and incomplete sentences, I want to think, why is speaking in complete sentences important? Share with your learning partner.
So why is it important to speak in complete sentences? Well, we want people to understand us, don't we? Yes. And we want to make sense when we're talking, correct? Yes.
Here's what I think. Speaking in complete sentences is important so that other people can have a conversation with you and can understand what you are saying. All right, awesome first phrase. Nice job closely looking at the mice's actions and learning how to speak in complete sentences. Next time, we'll continue working with the story 7 Blind Mice. Until then, be kind, do something great because you are capable of greatness.
Okay. All right. So now we are back. You have elephant sheet. Okay. So let me see here. I'm going to power down here a second. Here we go. Well, it won't let me do it, but you have the elephant sheet. What I want you to do on that elephant sheet, remember, is to write the parts down under the objects that they coincide with, okay? And then you'll turn that in to me for a grade. So let's wrap up. Let's talk a little bit about punctuation. All right, we're going to do a wrap up. I'm going to put a few sentences on the board, and I want you to tell me what kind of punctuation needs to go at the end of these sentences. Let me get myself. Okay. Let me, wrong way. There we go. So let's look at this first sentence here. The mouse ran up to the elephant. So we know that's a complete thought because we know it has a subject, because who's it about? The mouse. And what did he do? He ran up to the elephant. So this sentence is telling us something, isn't it? So what needs to go at the end of that sentence? A period. Good. A period. Let's look at this sentence. Do you need to look closer? So, who's that sentence about? You. And it's telling them you need to look closer, right? Okay. So, but notice the first word, do. Do you need to look closer? Is that telling you something or asking you something? It is asking. So we need to put a question mark because a question mark ask. Let's look at this one. Sit down. Who are we talking to? You. Okay. What are you going to do? You have to sit down. So that is telling us something to do, right? So what's going to go at the end of that sentence? A period. Good. Now, when would we use an exclamation mark? When we're really excited, like, wow, that's amazing. You would use an exciting mark, right? Yes. Okay. So remember, when you're talking to someone, you need to make sense with your conversation, okay? Speak clearly and make sure your body is facing them. Engage in the conversation with them, all right? Well, that is the end of our lesson. So I will see you back here tomorrow, same time. Bye.